Hello, class. We're going to look at the interwar period. This is the period between World War One and going into World War Two. This is why it's called the interwar period. During this time, several things is going to happen that is actually going to cause World War Two. You're going to have the end of obscurantism, the Great Depression in Europe. Sorry. I want you to write down all the red information on your graphic organizer. So the world after World War One. It was the victorious countries experienced a period of boom, meaning they made a lot of money. Next year, when you take 8th grade U.S. history, you'll talk about the Roaring Twenties and how the United States experienced just a large amount of growth and an increase in money. That is going to trickle down to the world. Everybody's going to experience that. The Allied countries continue their alliances through international trade and economic cooperation. And some of the allies is going to be Britain, France, the United States. So they're going to continue to grow and prosper. But keep in mind, in Germany, they were being punished according to the Treaty of Versailles, and they had to reduce their military. They had to basically pay a lot in war reparations. So their economy is not going to experience the same thing that the Allied countries are going to experience. The Roaring Twenties was a name given to the good times in the United States. So how did the Great Depression begin? People in the United States have been overspending and buying on credit. We do that today. It's called the credit card. You buy stuff using a credit card, and you have to pay that credit card back with interest. And a lot of Americans even today do that. That was one of the causes of our recession, because people increase their credit card usage. So it's going to lead into the stock market crash, October 29, 1929. Americans are going to rush to the banks to withdraw money, so banks were forced to close. Even today, when you put your money in banks, they take your money and they loan it out to other people, although it shows in your account that money's there. So if every single American went to the bank today and asked for their money, every single American would not get the full amount that they put in the banks, because your money is loaned out. Many are going to sold off all of their possessions after losing their jobs to try to make some money to make it. The unemployment and homelessness is going to skyrocket in the United States. And again, you'll learn more about this next year. This is what is going to be called the ripple effect. Just like playing dominoes, you line them all up and you push one, all of them falls down. That's what is going to happen. The United States stock market crash in 1929 led to collapse of international trading. We are going to stop trading with European countries because we don't have products to trade, because we're in a Great Depression. We don't have employees, we don't have the labor, we're not making anything, which is going to decrease the trade between United States and Europe. So if we're not trading with Europe and Europe's not trading with us, they're not making any money either. So they're gonna have cutbacks in productions at factories, which is going to equal less jobs, and which is going to increase unemployment worldwide, because they don't have the money to pay their workers or their labor, so they have to start laying people off, and people are going to get laid off, are unable to find jobs, because the United States stock market crash, and which led to a decrease in international trade. Turning inward, one immediate effect of the global depression was the decrease in international cooperation. So countries are going to stop working with each other. Countries begin to focus on their domestic issues. And when you see the word domestic, it means home. Like they're worried what's going on in their home country versus foreign affairs, and that's your relationship with other countries. So countries are going to begin to focus on their domestic issues and ignored global community. The lack of economic and political cooperation fueled the growth of nationalism again, which, remember, that's one of the causes of World War I. Nationalism, believing that your country is better than anyone else and that you have a strong love for your country. So the global impacts of the Great Depression, as you see, it impacted the United States, Canada, Brazil. It's going to go over to Germany, Britain, France, Austria, Poland, Russia, Australia, Brazil. Like, it's all over. It's worldwide. So the Great Depression in Germany, this is very, very important. The economy was weakened by the Treaty of Versailles, which was a post-World War I settlement. Inflation, meaning that prices are continuously going up, but their salaries are not. That means that they can't afford the products because their salary is not increasing with the increase of pricing. So it's a bad thing. They're going to have extensive borrowing by the government because the government cannot afford to pay the war reparations. So they are going to start borrowing money from other countries, which is going to put them further in debt. The German government responds by cutting public services such as water, trash, police, fire, refusing to pay back debt from World War I. They don't have the money. And use of emergency power by officials to enforce order and cooperation of German citizens. The Great Depression in Britain. Great Britain was weakened by decreased borrowing from British banks, shipping weakened by the collapse of international trade. The British government is going to respond by protecting industries, putting limits on products coming into Britain, and maintaining public services for citizens. The Great Depression in Austria. Austria was weakened by the collapse of its largest bank in May 1931. Labor unrest, strikes after unemployment rose. Austrian government is going to respond by they attempt to protect individuals' banking accounts. So, the unemployment in Europe was the most visible sign of depression in European countries. Long lines for food relief, rising unemployment. Look at chart. What similarities or differences do you see in this chart? And just look over it, looking at the years. So the Great Depression. You're going to have soup lines in Europe. 1 liter of soup per family, 1 penny to buy one. Effects of the Great Depression in Europe. Demonstrations, strikes, and protests. Attempts to overthrow governments in Germany and Italy. Increasing support for new leaders. This is very important because this is going to give rise to Hitler. And the rise of the Nazi Socialist Party in Germany led by Adolf Hitler. And this is just a cartoon. So what did Hitler promise Germans to get them to follow him? The Nazis pledged to solve problems. Hitler used Jews and other groups of societies as scapegoats, blaming all problems on them because the Jewish community was actually doing well during the Great Depression. They were actually still making money. So he took his hatred for Jews and was able to convince the majority of the Germans to agree with him. People in Germany were tired of their poor quality of life. Hitler promised to make Germany proud again. And Hitler provided jobs to most unemployed throughout Germany. So, of course, they're going to like what he's saying. Hitler's response to the Great Depression. Hitler launched the New Order Plan the same year that U.S. President FDR launched the New Deal programs. The New Deal programs is basically a combination of economic and social programs designed to provide relief to Americans. You're going to learn about each New Deal program again next year in 8th grade. Let's look at the New Order in Germany. It was a grand economic and social scheme built on beliefs such as racial superiority, military expansion, government control of industry, which is similar to communism, and the control of German citizens. Hitler's response to the Great Depression. Hitler promised something to every part of society. Farmers, he said, look, higher prices for their produce, making up for losses during the Great Depression. For the unemployed workers, jobs building public works such as roads and stadiums. And then for the middle class, he's going to restore the profits of all their businesses and encourage spending to citizens. So he's making everyone happy. Before he became chancellor, Hitler had promised, brought you bread and work. This was a promise that he could not afford to break. So looking at this, the graph shows that Hitler was successful in solving the unemployment problem, but how did he do it? Reparations. Hitler stopped paying reparations. The money saved was invested to create more jobs. Government spending. Jobs were created by spending on public projects. For example, the motorways, which are the autobahns. Huge buildings were constructed. He built stadiums, and the car industry was developed. And then government money, creation of a bank, and rearmament. He began rebuilding up the military. He created the army, and he rebuilt the military, making it stronger. Adolf Hitler breaks ground on the Autobahn as part of his New Order plan to stimulate the German economy in 1933. So as you see, all these different things he was able to do, people are happy about it. Hitler and the unemployment, the fine print. Do not always trust figures unless you have all the facts. Consider these points. The figures do not include Jews dismissed from their jobs, women dismissed from their jobs, opponents of the Nazi who were in concentration camps, part-time workers, and conscription. So conscription is like the draft, him forcing individuals to join the military. So although the figures look nice, where do those jobs come from? He took them away from the Jewish community. He took them away from the women. And that's the graph showing that. And that is going to basically lead us into World War II. And that is the end of the slideshow. I can cut it off. Y'all can stop watching. The hell?